Kia ora. As we head into the rest of Wednesday afternoon, low pressure continues to bring that wet weather on towards the eastern side of the North Island. So it is going to stay pretty wet through there. There are still some watches and severe weather warnings across parts of the eastern side of the North Island, because it would also keep hold of that cloud across this eastern side of the South Island. If you're looking for the best of the sunshine, heading down towards Southland and around that western coast are the places to be as we head through the rest of Wednesday. But this low pressure continues to feed the rainfall in towards parts of Hawke's Bay and up in towards Tairafti, Gisborne, with the heaviest rainfall expected about those northern halves, north of about that Napier-Taupo Road, State Highway 5, as we head through in towards Thursday. So you can see we keep hold of this wet weather through the rest of Wednesday, through the night time, and even in towards Thursday as well, with the heavier rainfall being pushed up towards those northern parts of the Bay, towards the northern parts of Hawke's Bay, so up in towards places like the Wairoa district, up towards Mahia. And as we go through the daytime on Thursday, we could find some thunderstorms just clipping that coast as well. Elsewhere, we were watching some showers up towards places like Auckland and Northern, but mainly about those western-facing coasts. More cloud around these eastern parts of the South Island, while as we head further south, we'll start to find some fine weather and some clear skies. But I think it is going to be a fairly wet story, even as we head through in towards Thursday. You can see this wet weather continues to feed up across that far northern and eastern part of the North Island. Those showers you can see just feeding through towards those western parts through there. And our next feature, our next front, comes up from the south. You can see by the end of the day, we'll have that wet weather feeding in to Stewart Island. More cloud pushing back towards the far southern parts, and also the return of that very cold air as we head through in towards the weekend as well. Now, with that wet weather on that eastern side, there are a series of severe weather watches and warnings. The warnings we had for those southern parts of Hawke's Bay and the Tauranga district have now been downgraded to watches, but still with that potential for some heavy rainfall as we head through into Thursday. The heaviest rainfall likely to be north of State Highway 5 across those northern parts of Hawke's Bay, as much as 130 to 180 millimetres of rainfall. There's also that watch for heavy rainfall up across Gisborne and Tairafti. So do keep an eye on the forecast, especially in those eastern areas. You can find all the latest information on metservice.com. Let's take a look at the temperatures as we go through in towards the early hours of the morning for Thursday. You can see once again a great contrast across the country. Where we keep the cloud, the wet, the mild air across the northern parts, the temperatures still in double figures up towards places like say Napier and Gisborne, while down south with those clearer skies, lighter winds, temperatures drop down cold enough to give us a frost, back down to about -1. So a chilly start today for Invercargill and Queenstown. For the North Island, we'll find it's a bit of a split between those eastern sides, which will keep hold of that heavy rainfall, especially those northern parts of Hawke's Bay. Some of that rain will move across in towards the higher parts and the eastern side of the Bay of Plenty. But you can see it's mainly this eastern side which keeps hold of most of the cloud up towards the Central Plateau. Spells of rain for you as well. And then showers feeding through. You can see there's some good breaks between them for Northland and Auckland, but do watch out. Keep an eye on the radar charts up through Northland. Just those showers pushing through in towards that western side. Down towards Wellington, I think we're still off fairly cloudy, but hopefully an improving story as we head through the daytime. But by far and away, the wettest weather will be on this eastern coast. Now, in terms of our temperatures, through there, we're still looking at highs about 15 degrees Celsius for Napier and Gisborne. Down towards Wellington, 11 degrees. So feeling a little bit cooler, but hopefully some drier weather in store through there. 16 for Auckland, and an overnight minimum for you of 10 degrees Celsius. For the South Island, well, the best of the weather down towards the likes of Queenstown and Invercargill. Not a bad looking start today. Any early morning mist and fog clearing away to give us some brightness and some sunshine. Similarly, only low cloud around the likes of Canterbury and Christchurch should break up to give us a fine afternoon. We'll keep hold of that cloud though, perhaps around the likes of Marlborough, and just a few showers, mainly north of Westport for that western coast. You can see we'll start to find the cloud thickening it back up across the far southern parts of New Zealand as we head through the daytime, just ahead of that next front and that return of that colder air as well. Now, in terms of our temperatures on the South Island, highs of 12 degrees Celsius for Christchurch, some clearer skies for you overnight into the early hours of Friday. I mean, our temperatures are back down to 1 degree Celsius, but I think with that next lot of cloud feeding up from the south, not as cold a night for places like Invercargill and Dunedin. As we head in towards Friday and the weekend, this low pressure continues to pull away. We'll still find some wet weather around that far eastern coast at first, but generally our winds start to turn to be more of these southwesterlies, which pushes this front northwards, brings more cloud and showers in towards Canterbury. But you can see it's an improving story for that eastern coast. But as our winds turn to be more southwesterly, we'll find cold air makes its way back up across the country. We'll be keeping an eye on those wind speeds around the likes of the Clutha coast and down towards the Otago Peninsula. Could be some pretty strong winds through Saturday and Sunday. And we also find perhaps a return of some of this wet weather turn into snowfall across some of those higher parts of Southland and Otago. So it's a real change in the weather as we head through the weekend. But for that eastern side of the North Island, the good news is the heaviest rainfall starts to clear away through Thursday, and some drier weather back on the cards for you for Friday and in towards the weekend. And that's it from me. This is from metservice.com.